So welcome everybody. I'm going to share the top 10 mistakes that I have observed, but they are really over a lifetime because these are a lot of things that apply to in-person meetings, your in-person presence, as well as online. But one thing that I've noticed since March is that it's even more important to have a really fine-tuned presence online because we're missing all our other senses, right? We can't touch anybody. We can't hug them and smell how good their hair smells. We can't, this is all two-dimensional. And so we're missing a lot of those other ways that we connect with people, that we feel their essence and their spirit, because this is all we have. And so we're going to make the best of that. But I say that to you because it's even more important that you really fine tune that. My signature talk, and I do a half-day seminar, is called Fine Tune Your First Impression. And most of us think there's not too much to that, but boy, there really is. I mean, psychologists have studied first impressions for years and years and years. So some of the things that I talk about today are going to be related to the impression that you make on others while you're online. And isn't it all about connecting with people and getting another opportunity to have that virtual coffee, to have that virtual martini, to really get to know them better? Because although this is great and we have your contact information and we see your beautiful faces, this isn't really how we get to know people. This is just how we get introduced to people. Don't you agree? You have to take it further. So we want to make sure that your first impression is a memorable one. You'll hear me talk about that a lot, about being memorable in a good way, right? We don't want you to leave a impression that you're the lady with the dogs that never stop barking while you're in an online meeting, right? Or you're the one that's always 10 minutes late, things like that. That's not the impression or the memorable part of your essence that we want people to remember. So who remembers David Letterman? I'm going to try and steal his format, and so we're going to go backwards from number 10 to the biggest mistake everybody makes at number 1. I wish I could be as funny as he is, and I wish there was a band right here over my shoulder, but we're going to have to go without that today. All right, number 10. Number 10 is noise. I know you've all been in a meeting where you've experienced this. I'm totally guilty of this. I'd show you my dog, but she won't come to me. She's 4 pounds and she barks like a 100-pound Doberman, okay? She's trying to protect mommy, but she's a barker. And there are days that I'm in meetings like this and a leaf touches the door and off she goes. Really, really yippy. So when the weather's okay, I have put her on the back screened-in porch, especially if I'm doing a presentation. I don't want her yip, 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 yip. Or what if you get a package delivered, right? And then it's the doorbell, it's kids running to the door, it's animals barking. We can't control all of it, but as much as you can warn the people in your house about when you're going to be online and that it needs to be quiet, and what do they need to do between 1 and 2:30 or before 1 o'clock to make sure they're not making noise between 1 and 2:30. You have to plan ahead and you have to work with your team. Some of you, God bless you, are teaching children and working from home and managing pets. I don't know how you do it. My husband and I are so eternally grateful that we raised our 4 kids and they're adults and they're off making their own babies. But yeah, I don't know how you do it, but as much as you can prioritize your schedule and get your family to be your business team and your business partner and work with you for it to be quiet, that really is important. Also, you might notice this, if you don't have your mute button on and you do a lot of movement while you're listening, the screen can go back and forth between you and the speaker. So it really is, can't find the word, polite to the speaker to make sure that you're muted so that that speaker view doesn't flip back and forth between somebody else's extraneous movement. Okay, number 9. Know how to turn your video on and off, but don't just have it be a black screen. So if you're not able, let's say you're not camera ready at the moment, it happens to all of us, right? I want you to go to zoom.com, sign into your account, and then you go to settings and then profile. And within profile, you can select what you want to be shown on the screen when it's not your fabulous face. So I'm going to show you mine right now. Some of you have great professional headshots. That's a great thing to put in there as your profile picture, okay? I wouldn't put a selfie at the beach as your profile picture on Zoom, because typically you're on this for a business reason, right? It's a business meeting. So how would you show up in the conference room? That's the kind of picture that needs to be on there, or your logo. Just put your logo on there. This is, well, I'll talk about that later. So just remember about the logo or a professional headshot. All right, number 8. Bad attitude. Maybe you're just tired. But what does this say to everybody else? So, you don't want to be perceived as having a bad attitude. Oh my gosh, my 5th Zoom today. People are boring the crap out of me, blah, blah, blah. Everybody can see everything you do. It's like that person that pulls up next to you at the traffic light and he starts picking his nose. I'm like, dude, it's a window. I can see you. Stop that. So, what conveys a better attitude would be good posture. Not leaning, not slumping. I mean, even this, even though it's not really leaning, you look, how do you look? Like what would you perceive? Put it in a chat bar if somebody was doing this. Excessive yawning. That doesn't portray a very good attitude. Yes, bored, really. Is that how you want to be? Is that the memory you want to leave your group with? That you're bored, you're tired, you're not interested. Yeah, great comments, everybody. So just like in person, your body language is huge. It often says more than your words do, okay? It's still happening on the screen. And like I said, it's more important than ever because we're missing those other senses. So make sure you have good posture. Part B of that is keep your eye contact on the camera. Some of us may not actually know where the camera is located in our computer or on our phone if you're using your phone. That's something you need to discover so that, because if you're looking at the matrix of faces, and you might be looking at somebody in the bottom left corner, I'm going to do that now. I'm now not connecting with my audience anymore because there's no eye contact. So figure out where your camera is. And even if you're the speaker, don't watch yourself. Okay, I'm looking at myself speak now. See where my eyes are? Okay, now I'm going to look in the camera. Was there a difference? Plus, you just look better when you're looking slightly up than when you're looking down. And here's part C of bad attitude. And that is try and fake the smile. Okay, now Celeste, I'm going to say a bad word right here. I'm just warning you. I have a bitchy resting face. I just do. I'm aging. I've got those downturned lines here. So when I'm not consciously smiling, I'm not kidding. People walk by me, it's usually men back in the day, whenever, and they'd be like, hey, beautiful, it's not that bad, smile. And I'm like, I'm good, but I look like I'm angry or upset when I'm not smiling. So I literally take a sticky note and draw a smiley face on there, and I've got a table lamp right here, and I stick it on there. So when I'm listening to somebody in a meeting, I feel like a porpoise. It feels kind of stupid, but you look more engaged, you look interested, you look responsive, and you don't look angry. So just be aware of what you're I mean, most of you might have a perfectly happy resting face. I don't, so I have to work at that. So I share that with you. Number 7, you're late. Okay, it happens to all of us. It happens in person. It happens online. It is really distracting. A lot of times there's a ding when you come into the meeting, right? So the speaker has already started talking, or what if it's a networking group and people get their precious 30 seconds and it's their turn and then you come on. So be aware of that, because if that's the first time anybody's met you and that's your first impression, I do probably an hour talking about your entrance in my first impression workshop. And you still have an entrance in the Zoom room. You still have an entrance. Let me see if that's on here. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about your entrance. Okay, so previously I talked about having your video off, so your entrance doesn't show you trying to get in the chair, fixing the pillow, swatting away the dog, finishing yelling at your children. None of that shows, right? So I suggest that, again, when you're in those Zoom settings or whatever platform you're using, they all have settings, Microsoft Teams, all of it, that you go in there and have yourself muted upon entering and have your video off, as long as you have a logo or a professional headshot on there. Then you can take care of business, get everything ready, put your smile on, click start video, bam, there you are. You're pulled together, you're not frantic. You're not on your phone, like all those things that people do when we're in person. It still happens online too, but it still matters, and it matters more than ever. So don't be late and be aware of your entrance. Number 6, who has been on an online call when somebody has their phone mounted on the windshield of their car and they're driving? That makes me really anxious. I'm like, I mean, I'm so distracted, and you hear, I got to tell a story on myself. So we made a video to promote this, and I was coming from the grandkids' house, and I couldn't get home in time. So I'm literally in the car. It's dark. You cannot see my face. You can only hear me. So you can't see my face. I mean, honestly, I did almost all these 10 things wrong and probably a couple more. And my husband's driving, and he's a pretty safe but aggressive driver. And if he doesn't like what you're doing, he will blow the horn at you. And so I'm live on a Facebook Live in the car, and he and swears at the guy. The whole world heard it. I'm telling you. So you know what? Stuff happens in the car. Be careful about that. I would say if you get stuck and you really want to hear the content of what's going on, then just leave your personal mic off and, again, turn your video off and listen. But we don't want to watch you drive, and we don't want to listen to what's happening to you in the car. Number 5, distracting clothing. So I'm going to say to you that, and this is true in person too. I work with people that speak professionally, that speak from the stage, that do radio shows, podcasts. We want people listening to your message and looking right here. Have you ever been somewhere, this has happened to me, where somebody's up on the stage and they have on this fabulous outfit, but it's so bright, or it's so, the pattern is large and complicated. And I just find myself like staring off in space at their outfit and checking out for a few seconds because I'm not listening. You want people focused on your message and your fabulous face. So I would say be aware of really like extreme outfits. Here's an example. I know none of you would ever do this, but I was at this women's conference. This was in person, but I was at this women's conference and this woman was on the stage and she was, honestly, I can't even exactly tell you what her job was because I was so distracted by her outfit, which I could describe to you in perfect detail, but I don't know the title of her talk. It had something to do with being a business coach. She had this I hope this isn't your best friend, anybody. She had this fabulous red hair and it was large. We were just talking about 80s hair before you all got here. And it was mesmerized. I mean, it was great hair and it was kind of orangish red. And then she had on a bright red haltered jumpsuit. And the legs were like very flowy and flowing. And she walked all around the stage and you almost kind of like got in a trance, like you were watching angels float around. And then she turned around and not only was it a halter, it was backless to the waist. Okay, in my brain, that was we're at a professional business women's conference. That was the most fascinating outfit for your anniversary or a New Year's Eve party, but I don't remember what she said. And I tell you that story, so you don't want to be memorable for your outfit necessarily, okay? Whatever your background is, try not to match it, right? So if your background is this ivory color cabinetry, I'm not going to wear that color of a shirt because I just kind of blend in and then you almost kind of look like a talking head. That makes sense? I don't know if you can tell, but this is navy. Navy is one of my most favorite colors for all people, men and women, and professionally. So, lost my train of thought, looked at the chat bar, shame on me. So navy is good. There is a pattern in here, but it's real itty bitty. Can you see that? Like a little silver line. So it's not real distracting. Now, I'll tell you, a couple months ago, I had this shirt on and a striped sweater, and I got on the camera and I didn't check it out ahead of time. I'm like, oh, that says bra right there, bra. People are going to be staring at my bra. So I went and got a jacket and covered it up. Things on the camera do not necessarily mimic what you see in the mirror. And so you have to be aware of that. Guys, you can get on a Zoom or any of these platforms by yourself and see what you look like. Okay, we're going to talk about makeup in a minute and I'll go further into that. But there's nothing wrong with having a practice Zoom call with yourself or your best friend or your husband to see how do these things look in the camera, you know. So stripes are okay, but I prefer vertical over horizontal in the camera. Little prints are fine. And if you have a color that you know really like makes your eyes pop or whatever, wear it. Wear it, play it up. But I do prefer solids. Now, while we're talking about clothes, where am I? Number 5, distracting clothing. I know there's this whole joke about, yeah, I got my jacket on, but you know, no underwear, my yoga pants and my Uggs, whatever. I'm not a big proponent of that, and I'll tell you why. It's a mindset thing. If you're going to a virtual business meeting, I feel like you need to dress like you're going to the boardroom. Maybe a upscale casual Friday, but I mean, casual Friday in America right now is a nightmare. That's a whole nother soapbox of mine. The only thing that I don't wear when I'm on a virtual meeting is pumps. Some people do. If they're speaking and they have their speaker suit on, they put their heels on because it makes them feel like they're professional, they're at work, they want to take themselves seriously. So that whole mindset thing is huge. I even spray myself with cologne before I get on here. Some days somebody's going to tell me how good I smell. I just know it. So be aware of that. I'm not saying never wear yoga pants, but be aware of the commitment that you're making in time and effort to participate in this meeting. So, you know, if the only way you can show up is straight out of the car in whatever, your gym clothes, you know, I'm not saying never do it, but just be aware of it, okay? All right, number 4, no makeup. Now, some of you don't wear much makeup on a regular basis anyway, and that's okay. No shame about not wearing makeup. But remember how I just talked about the lighting and the background? So just like in photography, when you get a professional headshot done, you have to have almost 2 levels more of color on. Not necessarily different colors, but the camera, and so does your computer, dulls down the intensity of your look. And if you're not using special lighting and you just have the blue light radiating off your computer screen, excuse me, then you're going to get kind of this bluish glow on your face. And so you need to be, I say that the 3 biggest things: don't be shiny. So I always have my compact of powder next to my computer. I know I'm a bit of a freak that way. I get it. It's okay. You can laugh at me. So if like when I'm speaking and I have this big light on, I'm going to show you in a minute, you know, it gets a little warm. And so I get a little shiny. So you might want to be aware of, do you look shiny, and tap that down a little. Have a lip color on that's at least 1 shade deeper than your natural lip color. So an online meeting is not the time to sprout your new favorite neutral lip color. It won't even look like you have anything on. It's totally different in person. So have on some lips and have some kind of cheekbone. Have a little color here. It could be blush, it could be bronzer, but it gives you a little more dimension. And again, like Carol's in a situation where she's babysitting. She probably doesn't have all her regular equipment and lighting and camera angle and all that jazzy stuff that she does at home, where she set up a studio just for this purpose, what we're doing right here. So that happens to all of us. And you know, good for you, Carol. Not that anybody was judging you, but you spoke that you were in a different situation yesterday. People give you grace for that. They do. If you're late coming into a meeting because you had to take somebody to the hospital or whatever, people give you grace for that. I'm just giving you guidelines that we don't fall into the habit of doing all these things at the same time and think it's okay. That makes sense. All right, number 3, background. I know you've seen some pretty distracting backgrounds. We don't all have a place that we can go in our house that isn't distracting, isn't noisy, has natural light. I think this is one of the biggest challenges when I work with my clients about their virtual presence online, is trying to find somewhere to go. So I'm going to give you a couple ideas. Some people sit in their office, but their bookshelf is like super busy. Have you ever seen, you know, and I'm like, oh, what's that title? oh, I read that book, you know. That is distracting, and it's just kind of messy. So see if you can cover it up. Maybe you have a tablecloth that you could tape or hang behind you. Maybe I used to do broadcasts in my bathroom because I wanted to be in front of my vanity if I was doing a makeup demo. But behind me is the shower, okay? The very first live I ever did, the whole world saw exactly what products I use in my shower because that's what the camera was looking at. So then I went to Joann Fabrics and I bought a piece of fabric that had just like a little bit of shimmer to it, but was solid, no plaid, nothing. And I hung that up and taped that up with those big like gem clips. So I had a solid background behind me. So if your background is really busy or there's a lot of artwork that kind of interferes with each other, I can't find a better word, see if you can cover it up somehow with fabric. Even a plain door. I've sat before with my back, not a glass door, but a solid wood door, with my back to a solid wood door and set up the camera on a tripod in front of me. So that's something to look at. I'm checking my time. Okay, perfect. So number 3 was non-distracting background. Number 2, lighting. I talked a little bit about the blue light off your laptop. The phone won't give you as much of a backlash of that. So that might be an option for you. Should have done that ahead of time. You can get these tripods like this so it can sit up on your desk, and then you put your phone in here. It's adjustable, and then they get taller too, like the legs extend. Amazon has everything you could ever need to record from home, I'm telling you. So that's something to consider if you want to use your phone and not this blue screen. This is called a selfie light. It clips on, so it could clip onto your phone. It's got a button that turns on right here, and you can adjust it, their LED lights, to be stronger and brighter. So that's an option. You could even clip it on to the top of your laptop or screen or your phone. That's probably, I think this was like $12. I have an auxiliary camera that's in the USB port here, and so I'm going to take it off and show you my ring light. There, can you see that? So that's on a tripod, and that's all adjustable, so I can take that anywhere in my house. It's the best light. And now they make ring lights that have a little clip in the middle that you can put your phone on, which I'm actually going to get because I'm going to start doing some broadcasts from my closet about fashion. And so you can just make the legs longer. Then you've got the light, you've got the right height. So lighting is huge. And one of my offers to you today is going to be to have a complimentary consultation with me virtually, and it can be about anything you want. And if you want to talk about lighting or show me your lighting and we can problem solve that, I'm happy to do that for you. And the number one worst thing, besides me leaving this door open, is camera angle. So when this all started in March, people had their phone in their lap. So how pretty is that, huh? Can you believe I'm showing you this worst part of myself? I sacrificed my complete image for you people. You're looking up my nose, and what if there was something in it? People, your camera angle needs to be eye to eye. Remember I talked about the boardroom? You need to be looking at people that way. Let me show you something else. This is a stand that you can buy that my laptop is sitting on. Do you see that? It's on my desk. It's adjustable. It has 12 different positions. Honestly, in March, I had kind of a stiff cardboard box, and I put my laptop on top of that so that it was higher. And my husband came in and said, I just bought you that computer for your birthday, and that's an accident waiting to happen. We're going to go online and find a real stand to secure your laptop. And it's $25 on Amazon. It's been fabulous. Because I can take it anywhere. It's really lightweight. It's plastic. I can throw it in my computer bag. And if I'm doing a broadcast from somebody else's house, I'm in charge of the camera angle. So you would never take a selfie of yourself from down here. First selfie my mom ever sent me, because she wanted me to see her wrinkles and what could I do about it, was like this. And I'm like, Mom, first of all, you look like a Shar-Pei. Second of all, bring the camera up here. Never show anybody that picture. Delete it right now. So be kind to yourself. Have a camera angle that's respectful to you and to your audience. So again, we are all connecting right here, because this is all we have. Thank you so very much.